Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we spend about 20 minutes talking about three, four, it was really hard to cut them down today, topics, and get you on your way in about 20 minutes. We are not going to talk about TikTok today. I know every other tech show out there is talking TikTok, but not us because it's a political story now. It's not a technology story.
Yeah.
How are you, Miss Danielle?
I'm doing good. I'm here at South Regional and happy to be here. And
That is awesome. So, Danielle, you are the head of circulation at South Regional Library.
Yes.
Tell us, what do you do out there and what's different about South Regional for you?
South Regional, well, we are a kind of a joint venture there with the Bauer College. And so we work together with the college, and we were the first one, I think, in the state to do that. We just celebrated our 40-year anniversary last year that we've been collaborating with them. So that's a little bit different, and we really enjoy working with the students.
And you're not new anymore. I still think of it as a new building, but you've got a full LEED certification building out there. I think you were like the second building in the state of Florida to be certified that way.
That's right. We're a green building, and this particular building opened in 2007, but the library has been in existence since 2020.
I worked at the old, dark, dirty library. Yeah. It's much better now, folks. If you haven't been out there, you need to go see. It's a gorgeous, beautiful building now.
It is. We have a lake.
We did the lake with the submarine last summer. I don't know if we're doing it this year. We'll find out. But speaking of updates and nice new things, NASA managed. How many updates have you got on Windows and all of your stuff, Danielle? NASA can pull this thing off. How far out into the solar system? This is insane.
They said it's like as far as it's ever been.
Oh, yeah. This is the farthest thing from the planet that we have. For anyone who hasn't been following on previous episodes, we talked about the idea that Voyager 1 went dark, so to speak. And one of the computers failed to start working. They knew that. They sent the command to restart the computer, and it didn't restart. So they figured out something else. Remember, part of the issue here is that this has been over 40 years ago that this was launched out there. And so that kind of time for 46 years, sorry.
Wow.
And so nobody who built the original thing is still around. I mean, They didn't have, they're going by photographs of old blueprints to try and reconstruct what was there. And they managed to pull it off. They sent a way of updating. It takes 22 and a half hours for the radio signal just to hit the spacecraft, do something, and then come back. 15 billion miles.
That's crazy. And that it's so far out there, and it's been going for so long. And the thing that made it go dark was it was an issue with the code, and that it was just such a small part of the code and part of the chip. Yep. I couldn't get over that, and that they went ahead and they redid that.
Yeah, and
fixed.
It's out because they're so far out in space. There's no protections, anything like that for the radiation things. It's just one small particle of radiation got through and hit one small part of a chip that eliminated that section of the chip from working properly, and so the whole part of the chip went bad. It's a crazy story. As always, these links are always in the show notes for you so that you can go and check these things out, because especially today, there's some fun stories.
Yeah.
Here is another weird story that you never thought you'd say. California has too much solar power.
Yeah, that they're like losing, they're losing the electricity, or they're having to like dump some of it because there's so much.
Yeah.
Trying to find ways around that.
Yeah. Did you catch, though, who's complaining about that? It's not the average person, and it's not really the government. It's the for-profit company that wants to sell us more electricity is complaining that they're not getting the chance to sell us as much electricity because so many people are generating it on their rooftops.
Yes, and they said that they have, like, certain times during the day where they don't need as much,
Yeah,
although in
this
the
chart
summer,
right here is amazing.
the duck.
This is how much electrical pull there is on residential. This is just residential homes in California. You can see right here. There's this. This is old, back in 2015, and now when you look here at the newest data from 2000, look at the difference in those two things for how much is getting pulled off of the grid in the middle of the day because so many people moved to solar.
That's something. That's something. And they said they were able to sell it for, like, what, 20 or 30 cents per
Yeah.
kilowatt or something to that effect, and now they're not able to sell as much, so
Yep. And
yeah.
that is one of the things is, and part of the new infrastructure bill is that as you put in these things, and here in Florida, FPL, who does a good chunk of South Florida, you can work with them and they will buy back some of the stuff for your electricity that you are generating from solar, but not all of it. And they won't guarantee you a rate.
Wow.
And so the way around this is to store it in batteries, because you can see where in the evening it picks back up. Everybody gets home from work and everybody's back to drawing off the grid again because we have more people doing all that stuff. So I did a quick search for you. And there are hundreds of articles on battery storage and new upgrades or new installations or prices falling on them. And this is just in the last 24 hours, all of these stories just on battery storage.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
a fair amount.
Everybody is talking about this and trying to make sure that they are ready for this and putting their things, getting the grid ready as they talk about having a smart grid or anything like that, getting the grid ready to handle all this extra overload. And if you're out there and you hear some of the scare tactics, oh, the grid can't handle it, it's all going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
No, it won't. It's just that the companies will make less money. They'll make less profit. You can make your own mind up if that's a good or a bad thing for you.
Yeah. Good for the consumer, I hope.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another one of those infrastructure ones that happened. This is a super long story to read. This gets complicated. This is tight. TSMC is one of, if not the largest chip manufacturers in the world. They make a tremendous amount of chips in Taiwan. And because of the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act, they are building this huge new factory in Arizona. And this article goes into depth on all of the problems that entails for trying to build it in Arizona. Some of it is physical stuff, the amount of water they need and things, but a lot of it is just culture.
Yes. It reminded me of, there's a documentary out there called American Factory, and the story reminded me a lot of that. And it just takes getting used to, big differences in how we work, good ideas from both sides, but yeah.
And radically different types of culture, especially, the United States versus Taiwanese, language barriers, and all those things that go into this. There's a tremendous amount of stuff here that people overall should read, because they go in depth of where the problem started, where they are now, possible paths forward, what this is going to be like. And as we try and onshore a lot of our manufacturing, this is going to keep coming up as that. And I kind of was reading this, and I mean, we both live here in South Florida. We're just both used to the idea of hearing multiple languages around us all the time and doing this. And I was just like, it's Arizona. come on, they must have so many people that have moved there from Mexico or other places. They're a bilingual group. I just assumed, I thought, well, yeah, it's Arizona, of course, it's Phoenix. There's all sorts of people that do multiple languages. Turns out not as much. And when you throw a third language in,
yeah, they said there was Mandarin and what was the other one? Taiwanese or Cantonese, but they said
yeah,
it's a lot.
yeah.
And big adjustments, and that they have to worry about not having their materials stolen too, that they were very concerned. So that made translation another issue, that they had to protect the integrity of their product. That was a big challenge.
I was looking for, if I can find the quote again. They brought over about 1,000 people from the Taiwanese factories to the Arizona factories and put them into effectively company housing and stuff to bring them in and help build the factory, help build this up, build the culture here of a similar type of thing, and all the type of culture clash you can imagine. And one of them being so many people didn't drive.
Yes.
Because they lived in a factory town there in Taiwan also, but they could walk to everything. It was such a high density population place that everybody's walking everywhere, even just to work and back. And here they moved to Arizona, and now you're spread out. I'll show that image again of the local area. Let me find it there. This is the local area for the factory. And unlike there in Taiwan, where the houses and the industrial areas are right up next to it, or buses and train stations coming right near, you can see there's nothing near this factory.
No. And maybe they left themselves room to expand, but out west is even different than here. There's so much wide. It's beautiful, but there's a lot of wide open space. So it's a lot.
Which is great. And let's leave the wide open space and not do suburban sprawl through it, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess because I keep reading these stories and I'm like, this is part of our culture clashes here in America, where we are so wedded to, I need to have a car and drive forever. It's the population density that really does us in on some stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it's true.
But it's
easy balance.
as I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scroll. I mean, all of these people working there and doing it is just a crazy thing, really well done. And I highly encourage anyone who's interested in what's going on with our tax dollars, because that's part of the CHIPS Act, go read this, go figure out exactly what's happening and what the future is going to look like when we do have this manufacturing back in the United States.
Yes. And they're working to get more factories in too.
Yep.
So hopefully that will come to fruition soon.
Yeah, this one should be opening a little delayed. In the end, spoiler alert, it's going to open. But it's going to open a little delayed, but it looks like it will be up and running soonish compared to how long it usually takes some of these factory things to go.
Yes. Well, the expectation for the work week, right? That was one of the big clashes, where 12 hours coming in on the weekends and trying to negotiate that between the two work groups.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who would be not necessarily thinking that 12-hour days and coming in on the weekends is the Taiwanese way of doing things, and the Americans are much more relaxed. And it's all about healthcare. Not in the healthcare for the workers, unfortunately, but about your own healthcare out there. Yes. So by now, I hope everybody has heard about the United Healthcare hack that happened last month. Actually, February. It's been 2 months now. And it took out a whole chunk of payment systems also. There were two things I wanted to grab about this. One, did you notice, Danielle? They paid the ransom.
That was scary. They paid it, and they said that it was a disgruntled associate of the original hacker group that just went ahead and sold it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So don't pay the ransom. If you are hacked, if you just don't pay the ransom, do your work ahead of time. Make sure you've got backups. Make sure you're taking care of yourself on all those, but don't pay the ransom. It doesn't work because they're going to still release the stuff anyway. They just got your money also now.
Yeah.
So that was number one that I kind of this story really made me pop up and say, wait a minute. But number two, the federal government here in the United States now has a brand new website called Healthy Competition, and it is there for all of your healthcare needs based on this, and it's part of the antitrust division. And the reason they did this was because it kind of took people by surprise how much of the healthcare payment system crashed because of this hack. And so the Department of Justice is now asking people for comment, asking people to put in your information to tell them what's going on so they can get a better handle on who out there is anti-competitive versus competitive, etc., and stuff like that. So the link is in the show notes for you. There's a website also, a phone number that you can just go to leave a message. I personally rather hit the website, especially because they also have the links to the FTC in case of you've found an insurance scam. And this is not just healthcare insurance, but any kind of insurance scams. And welcome to Florida and welcome to hurricane season.
Exactly. It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff going on.
We do. Always.
And I'm cutting this story short because I'm watching our clock, but I want to cover one of the things you've got going on, because one of the reasons Danille is on the show today is she is one of the stars in the state of Florida. She is. Come on, take it. You deserve it.
I'm blushing.
Libraries does a thing called Sunshine State Leadership Institute. And Danille's one of the group this year of you've got 16 people, I think.
I think that's
there's only 16 people in the state of Florida as part of this right now. She's part of it. So I want you to fill us in. Tell us about your project and what's going on.
So my project in particular is called Happy Campers and Boaters. And what we're looking at is we have such a great group of people that we refer to as short-term residents here in Broward and in a lot of South Florida. The people where they're liveaboards, where they maybe rent a slip in a marina, or people who make camping reservations like a year in advance to stay in their RV in one of our fantastic parks, and the snowbirds who are just always such a big part of our community. So we want to make sure that they're invited into the library, that they know, anybody can take advantage of the great programs, online, in person, databases, and all the things we have available, that that they know that they are coming out and enjoying all that, because socialization is part of what we would like them to take advantage of. And if they have a short-term lease, we want them to know that they're welcome to come in and check out our physical checkout of our materials and use those and kind of engage with that. So we're going to be reaching out to those communities and inviting them in, and just kind of look out for us at campgrounds, at marinas, and we'll be there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
And that goes along with our, Broward.org/library, and you can sign up for a digital card anywhere in the country. You can sign in if you live, work, or go to school in the county. We're born here in the county and got dragged away to Ohio for some horrible reason. We will take pity on you and give you a library card. For our guests in Europe, we have a growing audience in Europe. Unfortunately, you don't qualify for a free library card in Europe. However, anyone who's here on vacation for an extended vacation, that's what Danille is doing, is getting you a library card, getting you library access. If you're just here on vacation and you're spending, is there a limit to how much time?
If they come in with a short-term lease, then the card will be good for the duration of their lease. So if they have a short-term lease, so like not a rent receipt, it's got to be like an actual short-term lease for a marina slip or, whatever accommodations that they're getting. If they maybe have a lease in a condo or something for a few months, something of that nature, then they'll be eligible for everything with all the bells and whistles.
A regular full library card for free.
For free. And if they are in Europe and they don't have a short-term lease, you're still welcome to join us for our online programs. And, there's still a lot that we can do for you. And, come in, visit, send faxes, browse our materials while you're here. So
Yeah.
stuff.
I love how Daniel just casually mentions like when you live at the marina.
Yeah. But we have that big yacht show.
Yeah, I know.
Really
If you
special.
haven't lived in South Florida for a while, it is a very strange thing. And then we get kind of like, oh, well, yeah, they've got an address that's a boat. But
Mhm.
yeah, there are a significant number of people who live in our county who have an address of a boat.
Oh yes, and they need our resources for a
Exactly.
variety of reasons. So we want to make sure come and join us,
Yeah.
please. Please do.
I do want to throw up a quick thing because South Regionals also has one of the multicultural programs that we talked about for the Arizona issue. Day of the Child is this Saturday at 2:00 out there at your location.
Yes, big event.
English, Spanish, come on out, go participate. Fully bilingual program that is out at the South Regional Library at 2 p.m. this Saturday.
Yes.
And they have a ton of other things going on. Of course, you guys do. Everybody
Absolutely.
does.
Yes. So, shall I? We have Canva Creations coming up on April 27th. Very popular Ageless Grace program. Lavender Sachets with Upcycled Treasures. That's on May 18th. And a poetry club on May 21st. And of course, the reading program, Adventure Begins at Your Library.
Oh, yeah. The summer learnings. We're going to hype that one fully here in another couple of weeks. I don't know if I just unintentionally said tomorrow, like this Saturday. It's next Saturday, the 27th is the Day of the Child, along with all these other programs. So that's an official holiday sort of thing that the libraries try and follow. So the 27th. Forgive me, Kimberly, if I got it wrong. Thank you again, Miss Danielle. Let's throw up our final slide here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, no worries. If there is a library or librarian you'd like to see featured on the show, reach out. Creation Station at broward.org. Go subscribe.